Meghan is hardly innocent. She's down in the dirt with me, whether she likes it or not.
The royal rumor mill just detonated. Andrew is talking, Charles is tightening the palace gates, and Catherine, calm yet terrifyingly composed, has stepped into full command. The headlines are spinning, the internet is melting, and every whisper feels like a warning. So, what exactly sparked this latest royal quake? Stick around! This meltdown only gets louder. Like and subscribe for the full spiral. The moment Andrew opened his mouth, just a crack, just enough for the press to smell smoke. The entire royal narrative tilted sideways. He didn't need to reveal anything scandalous. Simply speaking at all was enough to send every newsroom into DEFCON 3. Suddenly, old tensions resurfaced, long-paused conversations resumed, and the fragile equilibrium inside the palace began wobbling like a chandelier in a storm. And the internet? Oh, it did what it always does. Sprinted ahead of the facts, stitching together theories, timelines, and dramatic charts like it was building a conspiracy cinematic universe. But the real chaos wasn't online. It was in the sudden imbalance of power. Andrew's unexpected candor, however vague, created a new gravitational center inside the monarchy. Charles, who has been trying to project stability with the determination of a man duct-taping a dam, found himself confronting the one thing he didn't want: a royal family member generating storylines he didn't script. Every comment Andrew made became a headline. Every pause became speculation. Every eyebrow lift became its own meme. And just as the palace communications team tried to control the narrative, Catherine stepped quietly and firmly into the spotlight. Her presence alone sent a message: calm down, refocus, remember the hierarchy. But the timing? Impeccable, because the public interpreted it not as reassurance, but as takeover energy. Online commentators began calling her the stabilizer, the quiet general, even the real power, layering drama onto an already overheated atmosphere. So while Andrew simply talked, the world reacted as if he dropped a royal grenade, and the palace had no choice but to respond, carefully, cautiously, and with the emotional equivalent of oven mitts. The word confession is powerful, dangerously powerful, and Andrew's recent remarks, though mild by any rational measure, were instantly packaged by tabloids as if he had burst into a courtroom holding a stack of classified documents. He merely acknowledged family tensions, hinted at internal frustrations, and referenced the swirling narratives that never seemed to stop haunting Buckingham Palace. That was all. But in the public imagination, it became a Shakespearean monologue under a lightning-struck balcony. The internet thrives on implication, not accuracy. And within minutes, people were connecting dots that didn't exist, building theories that defied gravity, and declaring that Andrew had finally said what we all suspected, even though he hadn't said anything remotely explosive. The scandal wasn't in the words, it was in the perception of them. Royal watchers spun his tone, his expression, even his posture into clues, as if analyzing footage from a political thriller instead of an interview carefully worded by palace advisors. And into this chaos came Charles. His response, measured, deliberate, almost icy, landed like a royal decree. Commentators claimed he was clarifying, others said he was shutting down, and a few melodramatic corners of the internet insisted he was removing influences to restore order. Again, perception, not fact. But perception is what fuels modern monarchy mythology. And this time, that mythology painted Charles not as a distant ruler, but as a man extinguishing embers before they could turn into wildfire. Meanwhile, Catherine's serene composure served as a counterbalance. While the king was portrayed as the enforcer, she became the calm architect, the one stabilizing the emotional architecture of a palace rattled by public interpretation. And in this three-way dynamic, Andrew's openness, Charles's firmness, Catherine's quiet leadership, the public saw a drama bigger than anything actually spoken. Because when royals speak softly, the world hears thunder. The palace hasn't seen this level of narrative turbulence in years, not because anyone committed some outrageous act, but because the story around them spun into a cyclone of exaggeration, assumptions, and cinematic retellings. The modern royal ecosystem runs on vibes, not verified archives, and this time the vibes screamed, something is shifting. The public loves a good power shuffle, and the slightest hint of one is enough to send them spiraling into fantasy league politics. Inside this storm, Charles appeared to be making strategic adjustments. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic, but in the storytelling landscape of royal watchers, even a scheduling change becomes a symbolic purge. Confirmed removal became the phrase of the week, slapped onto headlines with the confidence of courtroom verdicts despite being little more than curated speculation. But speculation doesn't need evidence. It just needs momentum, and this one had gallons of it. Meanwhile, Catherine's role took on a mythic glow. She wasn't simply attending engagements, she was taking control, steadying the monarchy, quietly reshaping the institution. None of this was officially stated, of course, but the imagery was irresistible. Every appearance became a message, every smile became strategy, every step became choreography. And in the story-loving corners of the internet, she was suddenly cast as the elegant commander guiding a rattled kingdom. The result? A palace painted not as a symbolic institution, but as a living drama set, one where every participant is assigned a role by an audience hungry for intrigue. And whether fair or not, the narrative now swirls around who holds power, who lost influence, and who is holding the palace together through sheer composure. Because in royal storytelling, perception isn't just part of the narrative, it is the narrative. What fascinates royal watchers isn't always the scandal itself. It's the choreography that follows. The palace never moves loudly. It moves with the soft thud of velvet on marble. And recently, those soft thuds have sounded directional, not punitive, not dramatic, but unmistakably intentional. Shifts in patronages, calendar reshuffles, subtle public appearances, each tiny adjustment feeding an online frenzy, eager to map the exact tectonic plates beneath Buckingham Palace. Commentators began insisting that these quiet moves signaled a redistribution of royal gravity. Charles, ever the strategist, was portrayed as a king trimming branches so the monarchy could weather yet another media storm. Not because anyone had done anything outrageous, but because the narrative had become too loud to ignore. The perception machine was overheating, and Charles appeared determined to cool it down before it boiled over. And right in the center of this recalibration stood Catherine. Her role, though unchanged in any official capacity, became a beacon in the public storyline. The internet crowned her the steady hand, the cool-headed consort, the unshakable captain, steering the monarchy through digital turbulence. Whether or not the palace intended it, she became the face people projected calm onto, as if royalty were a psychological mirror for the public's own need for order. So the power shift wasn't a scandal. It was a story shaped by the world watching, guessing, posting, and reinterpreting every royal breath until the quietest move looked like a masterstroke. There's something almost cinematic about the way Catherine steps into public view. Not grandiose, not attention-grabbing, just poised. And yet, that very poise has become the internet's favorite canvas for dramatic interpretation. Every time she appears, commentators declare that she has taken control, even if she merely walked into a charity event wearing a blazer that matched the curtains. The hunger for narrative is that wild. Online, people began crafting entire arcs around her, casting her as the institution's emotional ballast, the person who steadies the ship when the deck tilts. She didn't ask for the role, she didn't claim the throne of calm, but the public handed it to her with the enthusiasm of a fandom crowning its queen. And in a moment where speculation ran rampant and headlines ballooned into soap opera plotlines, Catherine became the symbol of royal continuity. What makes this shift so dramatic is that it wasn't born from a crisis. It was born from contrast. While conversations swirled around Andrew's outspoken moment and Charles's decisive posture, Catherine represented everything the public wanted to believe the monarchy could still be: graceful, consistent, composed. She didn't seize power. Power drifted toward her in the form of narrative gravity, because in an age of chaos, the calmest figure becomes the protagonist, even if they never say a word. Here's the twist no one expected. The fallout wasn't internal. It wasn't a feud, a fight, or a behind-the-scenes implosion. The fallout was external. An avalanche of public assumptions shaping a story that none of the royals actually told. The monarchy wasn't collapsing. Social media simply imagined it was, piecing together fragments until they formed a melodrama grand enough for prime time. Every statement, gesture, and appearance from any royal was folded into a larger public narrative about turmoil and restructuring. It didn't matter that nothing explosive was officially stated. The digital world took silence as symbolism, nuance as confession, and routine as revolution. In this environment, perception became the true puppet master, and the royals, willingly or not, became characters in a play written by millions of spectators. The result was a kind of narrative ricochet. Andrew speaks, Charles steadies, Catherine rises, and the public reacts as though they're watching a historical epic unfold in real time. Not because of scandal, but because the monarchy remains a canvas onto which people project their own fascination with power, legacy, and drama. And in that sense, yes, the fallout was enormous. Not factual, but emotional. Not destructive, but transformative. In the end, nothing exploded, yet everything felt explosive. A few comments, a few appearances, and a kingdom of spectators spun a saga out of smoke. And as long as the world keeps watching, the monarchy will keep living two lives, the real one and the one we turn into legend.